Thousands protest following a deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis. What Homeland Security is saying about what happened and how the governor and mayor are responding. Plus, for decades, a Christian ranch in St. Ignatius promised help for troubled youth. But now, accusations of alleged abuse, forced labor, and much more. NBC Montana's Bowen West is working for you, getting answers. Also, new information on Whitefish's 2045 vision plan. What's still up for debate and next steps.
Live from the NBC Montana studios, this is NBC Montana News at 10.
Leading our live broadcast at 10 o'clock, for 5 decades, Pine Haven Christian Children's Ranch in St. Ignatius has been a place for families seeking help for struggling youth. But now some of those former residents are speaking out against the ranch. NBC Montana's Bowen West is working for you and went to Pine Haven to get answers and to see firsthand what the ranch is like today.
For years, these hillsides in St. Ignatius have held two competing stories. One, a rural Christian ranch that says it gives struggling youth a second chance. And another, told by former residents who say what happened here changed their lives in ways they've spent decades trying to undo.
Just absolutely child abuse and assaulting me. It was ridiculous. And I couldn't fight back. I'm 12 years old, you know? I don't have the strength to fight back.
Stephen Wooden, a former Pine Haven resident, describes arriving at age 12 and being thrust into a world of constant labor, building barns, hauling manure, running the ranch roads in early winter mornings. He says punishments could last days, silence was enforced, and mistakes meant violence. A decade later, Mackenzie Williams arrived under different circumstances, but she tells a similar story. After her grandparents died, she ended up at Pine Haven in 2014.
When you're there, you think it's normal that a child not talk for like 6 or 9 months and just sit in a corner for 6 to 9 months. Like, you think that's normal there. You're like, oh, that's just part of Pine Haven. That's just their discipline.
Williams says she left Pine Haven with post-traumatic stress disorder and nightmares she still faces today. Advocates say these stories fit a pattern in what's often called the troubled teen industry, a patchwork of lightly regulated programs that promise to fix behavioral or academic struggles.
When you look at abuse and the patterns of abuse that we've seen over the last 50 or so years, the reasons why they continue is because the lack of regulation, lack of oversight, and the lack of required reporting at these facilities.
Even as Montana added new protections in 2023 for private youth facilities, religious programs like Pine Haven's were left out. So NBC Montana came here to see what Pine Haven is today, to ask whether the program operating now resembles the one former residents describe. Leaders say Pine Haven has fundamentally changed, shifting away from housing minors and toward a faith-based GAP program for young adults.
You will find programs all over the country that want to help young people in that teen age. Yeah. There are tons of programs for that. There aren't many doing what we're doing now, the transition we've made, and that was our goal.
Robine says Pine Haven now runs an 8-week Explorer session, covering welding, blacksmithing, woodworking, culinary arts, wilderness first aid, even drone surveying, all designed to help students discover their talents. When we asked what oversight Pine Haven falls under, Robine said the program is self-guided, based on goals set by each student.
This is a program that's designed that anything that's within you, we're going to help you pull it out. It is completely individualized. Whatever you put in, that's what you're going to get out.
Staff still live on site, and so do the students, with housing and meals provided. But Robine says today's participants are adults and free to leave at any time. How do you sort of instill that work ethic?
Encouragement.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's encouragement. Why are you doing what you're doing? You have to be able to answer yourself that question. Number 2, be present in everything you're doing, whether you're sweeping the floor, preaching a sermon, or open heart surgery.
As Pine Haven turns 50, survivors like Wooden and Williams say the ranch's past can't be separated from its present without independent oversight. Pine Haven's current directors say the past is behind them, and the ranch is now filling a need few others address, helping young adults find purpose. Reporting in St. Ignatius, Bowen West, NBC Montana.
This is Newton, a young cat who spent nearly a month in Montana's wilderness. And in early December, just before the holidays, Newton was finally reunited with his owner. We spoke with Newton's owner, Shannon Haynes, and his rescuer, Darcy Albert of Kitty Mom's Rescue Organization about the ordeal. Shannon Haynes adopted Newton when he was just 8 weeks old after seeing a Facebook post while living in Austin, Texas. But earlier this year, Shannon's family relocated to Arkansas.
My parents were going on a vacation about the same time and with their RV, so I said, well, Newton and I are going to go with you.
Shannon and Newton traveled to Michigan, Minnesota, and North Dakota without any issues. A few weeks into the trip, though, they crossed into Montana, and that's when their luck changed. While Shannon and his family camped near West Glacier, Newton escaped into the woods on September 12th.
Suddenly, he was no longer in his harness. It was laying empty on the ground with his leash still tied around the tree.
Shannon stayed in the campground for a few extra days to see if Newton would show up.
Normally, he returns when he's hungry, but he must have been having the time of his life, and I had to come home, so I left my name and number with the campground and really never expected to see Newton again after it had been a couple weeks.
Several weeks passed and still no sign of Newton. However, Kitty Mom's Rescue Organization in Kalispell received a call for help from a rescue group in Arkansas.
The campground manager was closing up the campground for the season, and she spotted what she thought might be his cat.
Darcy and her husband loaded their car with a trap, gloves, nets, food, and other essentials and drove an hour to the campsite.
We were real concerned because there was a big snowstorm moving in the next day to Glacier Park, and it was supposed to dump a foot of snow.
After setting up the trap and just pulling back into town, another phone call came in. This time, Newton had been safely captured.
You know, in 2.5 hours, we had that kitty and back to our rescue.
Newton was thin and his coat covered in burrs.
He was so scared. It took him 3 days to settle down, and finally, when I was able to pet him, oh, he just rolled over and purred and turned into a marshmallow.
However, Newton's journey home was far from over. Shannon had just started a new job and needed time to save up for a plane ticket to Montana. On December 9th, the pair reunited at the Glacier Park International Airport. Shannon described what that moment was like.
Grateful, kind of disbelief, because I was holding my breath the whole way.
A life-changing experience for Shannon and for Newton.
He seems sweeter now than he ever did. So I don't know if he just softened up or if he's grateful to be home, but he's never been so loving before.
Kitty Mom's Rescue Organization is no stranger to connecting owners with their lost pets. In November, the rescue reunited 4 lost cats and their families. In the past 18 years, they rescued over 5,400 cats. Find a link to donate on our NBC Montana homepage. Reporting in the studio, I'm Laurel Staples.
Plus, meet Lady Bird. She's up for adoption. Learn how you could adopt not only
Montana State face off in what's being called the biggest game in state history. Bobcat captain and Missoula native Adam Jones brings his hometown pride to the playoffs. Our NBC Montana's Tommy Rooney has that story coming up. So Missoula Parish plans a 4-year project to save a historic ceiling with frescoes in a church dating back to 1891. What it will take to make it happen. And a major lawsuit accuses Uber of deceptive subscription practices, with multiple states joining the suit, including Montana. Our Phil Howard breaks down the case and gets reaction from the Attorney General. But first tonight, as we come on the air with our live broadcast at 10 o'clock, a powerful wind event is moving into western Montana tonight. High wind warnings will go into effect in just a few hours. Those gusts could be strong enough to cause damage and impact travel. Meteorologist Mitchell Coombs joins me here live at the desk. And Mitchell, what should people prepare for?
Really, those wind gusts are going to only increase as we go throughout the night. So really, now's the last chance. If you have any loose items on your patio or things you want to get brought in, now's the time to do that. Here's a look at what we kind of can break down for what we can expect from this storm system, really focusing in on those winds. We're going to see those sustained winds, 25 to 45 miles per hour gusts, 50 to 80 miles per hour, and maybe a few localized even stronger gusts than that, but also the potential for some heavy rainfall continuing up in hard-hit parts of Lincoln.
Take a look at this. Questions and growing concerns over troubled waters as Lolo Creek dries up. NBC Montana's Bowen West is working for you to get to the bottom of it and shows us what's going on. Plus, 2 school bonds are set to go before voters in Belgrade as the school district looks to address an over budget. How much and the changes students will see if the bonds pass. And a ghostly trend is raising red flags at colleges and universities. Described as ghost students in classes, they're stealing millions of dollars in a major scam. Spotlight on America explains how it works and what officials are doing to crack down.
Live from the NBC Montana studios, this is NBC Montana News at 10.
First tonight on our live broadcast at 10 o'clock, a creek in western Montana known for its history and significance to wildlife and agriculture is showing signs of drying up. NBC Montana's Bowen West spoke with experts and explains why Lolo Creek is down to a trickle.